Hi, so in this video I'll be showing you how to use the CR-400 together with the utility software. What I have in front of me is actually the CR-410 model. However, the usage of CR-400 and the CR-410 will be the same. So in order to get started to use the equipment, first we will actually have to supply power to power on the equipment. This can be done by either connecting the AC adapter into this socket or using 4 AAA batteries inside here. In this scenario, I will be using the AC adapter. So I'll go ahead and take my AC adapter and connect it over here. Okay. So first thing you would like to do is to power on the equipment over here, and you see there's some writing on the display. So once the display shows you the LAB value, let me get it towards the camera. Yeah. Shows your display like this, you can actually start to do the measurement. Okay. So the first step would be to perform the calibration. To do so, remove the protective cap, place it aside, and bring along the white calibration plate which are supplied. Okay. So you open up the white calibration plate like this, and you will notice that on the white calibration plate there will be some data over here. So it will be very important to know whether you would need to make measurement in C illuminant or D65 illuminant. Okay. In order to know which one the equipment is currently set to, you could actually have a look at the bottom part of the equipment here. Over here will be written C, which would denote C illuminant, or if it's written here D, it would be for D65 illuminant. So since this equipment is set to C, I will ensure that the equipment calibration data follows the C illuminant. So on the equipment, all I have to do is click the CAL button, the one in yellow. Okay. And I'll notice that this readings over here is similar to the one on the white calibration plate. Generally, once the equipment is calibrated, the readings on the white calibration plate should be same as the readings on the CR-400 or CR-410 body. So next step would be to place the equipment on the white calibration plate and press the measure button, which is this button over here. So I place it and I'll trigger the measurement button once. It will take 3 sets of measurement. Okay. So once it goes back to the default screen, meaning the calibration has been performed, and we can begin color measurement. So there's 2 types of color measurement. One type of color measurement is absolute color measurement, whereby we only get the LAB reading. For an example, if I measure a white piece of paper over here, so I will place my sample, in this case will be a white paper over here, and then I will place the equipment on top the surface I would like to measure, and just press the measure button, this one time, and it will take a measurement. So for absolute color measurement, we are only interested in the, get this on the camera, maybe I zoom it in slightly. Yeah. So we are only interested in the LAB measurement, which is the first 3 measurements on top. Okay, and the subsequent measurement of delta L, delta A, delta B, and delta E, as seen here, could be the color difference measurement. So for absolute color measurement of LAB is rather simple. You just place this on your sample and trigger measurement. Okay, camera is slightly out of focus. Okay. So similarly, if I were to measure on a different white sample, for example, I measure on the white plane. Sorry. If I measure on the white plane, I will just have to place it like this and press the measure button, and I will get a different set of. So hard to get in focus. yeah, I'll just get a different focus set of white readings. Okay, if I were to measure a different color, for example red color, you will notice that I will get different readings for red. Place it over here, take a measurement, bit out. Take a measurement, and you notice that, try to get the camera in focus, yeah, I will get a different set of LAB readings. Okay. So the next thing I would like to show you is how to do a color difference measurement. Color difference measurement would be focusing to take a comparison between two colors. So in this scenario, I would try to compare the white from a card over here and the white of a paper. Okay, I think from the video you can see that the color is slightly different. I have another card over here. Okay, you can realize that there's three different shades of white over here. So in order to do color difference measurement, it's rather simple. On the equipment, I will press the button which says T. T stands for target, and here you see there's T00 and there's some value which means that target 00 has already been assigned to a value. Get it close to the camera. Okay, so if you would like to override this value, it's very simple. I just will go over here and measure on T00. This will set a new target value for T00, and you realize the screen immediately changed back to the default screen, which means that the target has been captured and is ready for sample measurement. So I've taken the target on this white sample. I'll now proceed to take the sample using this white sample. I just place the equipment on the sample, and I trigger the measure button once more, and you realize that I will have a set of readings over here. So I will still get the LAB readings, but I will also get delta L, delta A, delta B, and delta E, which denotes the change in L, change in A, change in B, and the overall change in delta E. Maybe I'll try to move it closer and see that I can get it. Yes. So this will be color difference. So let's say I would compare this paper now with this different color. So initially we measured the paper against this white color. Now we'll measure the paper against this white color. So in order to do so, since my target 00 was already set to the white paper and actively I am using T00, I do not have to measure the target again. I can just proceed to measure the second white sample over here. So I just once again place my equipment on the sample, trigger the measure button, and I will get, see if the camera gets into focus. I'm having a bit of problem getting focus. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. So I will get the LAB reading, and you notice that the delta L, delta A, delta B, and delta E readings are slightly different. Let me try to see if the camera will focus on this. Yeah, okay. I think I need to put my finger to the focus. Sorry for that. Autofocus mechanism. Yeah, okay, that's about it. That's better. Okay. So you realize that this set of LAB reading and the delta LAB reading is different, and notice that this white color sample which I measured, it has far more difference compared to the previous white sample measurement. So this is how color difference can be done. So this was actually just comparing the white paper against two white reference samples. So how about if on a different scenario, okay, I would like to compare this. You can't really see the two cards over here. Let me flip it over. So if let's say I want to compare this card against this card and then against the paper, I would actually need to set this card as the target sample. So in order to do so, back on the equipment, I click the target button again. Go closer. Can't get the focus. Okay. So can you see for new target I have to press T, which is written down here. So if I press T again, it will give me T01. Okay. So in T01 now it's all set to 0, meaning I can set a new target on T01. So all I do is go here and measure on this white sample again, and it records the T01 value, and after recording it will go back to the default screen. Okay. So now I am in the default screen. I can change to the next card, take a measurement, and now it's doing comparison between the two white cards. Get into focus again. Yeah, comparison between the two white cards, and subsequently if I do it with the paper, it is measuring the color difference against the paper. So this is a very simple guide of how to establish color difference measurement using the CR-400 equipment. In the next section, I'll be covering how to do any settings with the CR-400. So typically the CR-400 requires the data processor to do settings. However, there will be another option to use the utility software to perform the settings. So in order to get started, first few things you need to do is establish a connection with the equipment to the PC. So you might have another cable supply, okay, which one end of the cable will look like this, the RS-232 type cable, which will be connected to here. The cable I have is a slightly older model, which is a white color cable. The newer cables are in black with the USB connection at the end. Okay, so once you've got this connected, you need to set the equipment into PC mode. Maybe I need to zoom this. Yeah, you need to set the equipment to PC mode. So in order to do so, I need to turn off the equipment. Okay, when I turn on the equipment, there will be some displays there, and it will be written for menu. You have to press enter. It will be quite quick. So when I see this display, I press the enter key and press the arrow keys over here to go down to the word PC mode. Right. Get it up close. Yeah, you can see that PC mode. So just move the cursor down, PC mode, and I press enter. Yeah, I press enter. So now it says PC mode. So the next thing we need to do is turn on the software and get it communicated. So I will show you my view on the PC. Sorry. So on the PC, once you've installed the utility software, we have to go ahead and run it with this CR-400 utility. Here we have an option between sensor head and data processor. So we'll select sensor head, and before we click connect, I would recommend you to go to port setting, since the communication parameters is set to COM3. Okay, so in order to know which COM is it assigned to, if you're using Windows 10, it's rather simple. All you have to do is right click on the Windows button over here, right click, and go to device manager. Open it to full screen. You will see there will be a lot of lists over here, but there's one selection here says port, COM, and LBT. On my PC, I have a couple of number of COMs over here, but on your PC, you maybe have one or two. And I'm using a serial converter, so mine is assigned to COM3. It could be COM1 on your PC, COM2 on your PC, so this would be a good way to check. If you have two COMs, maybe you have COM1 and COM3 or COM2 and COM4, and you're unsure which one of it, you could just try to use either one, and only one of it will establish connection. So for example, if I were to set my port setting to COM1 instead, and I know it for a fact that I'm using COM3, but let me set it to COM1, click OK, Once I click connect, it will say fail to open COM1. This way I know that COM1 does not communicate with the equipment, and we exit again. I open up the software, change my port setting to COM3 over here, click OK and click connect. And you see that it didn't come on error message, and now on this utility software I have options to calibrate, measure, properties and instruments. So what we are really interested for settings is to go on to instrument over here and click settings. Okay. So now we have an option for calibration, color space and options. Okay. So color space is quite useful if you are not going to be using L star, A star, B star, instead of using Hunter Lab, which is just plain LAB without the asterisk, or you want to use maybe whiteness index or yellowness index, you could actually select how many color spaces that you want the equipment to show you over here. Okay. Alternatively, if you are doing average measurement, that means based on this example I showed you, is we are only taking one measurement to generate the results. If you like to take 3 measurements, then give you a color measurement result, then the option to set it is over here. Over here, 3. Okay, so this is how you can set it up. You can set it up to 3 measurements over here. Okay, you will notice if I select it over here to 3, you will notice that on the camera itself, right at the bottom here, from number 1, it says to 3. So now I set it to 3. Is at 3. If I go back to the PC and set it to 1, click apply, go back here, you notice that here it's gone back to 1. So this would be average measurement function. Okay. So next thing I want to show you that since this illuminant was set to C, and you want to change it to D65, there's a method to do so. So back on the software, you realize there's an illuminant here C and D65. It would not be so easy to directly change to D65. So now that I've done measurement in C, if I want to go to D65, if I were to just select D65 here and click apply, it will say warning, cannot change illuminant. If you want to change illumination, you must reset the equipment. So yeah, with the CR-400 or CR-410, it's very important at the start to know which illuminant that you like to use for measurement. If it's going to be C illuminant, then start off with C illuminant. If you're going to D65, you start off with D65 illuminant. If you would like to change halfway, you have to initialize the equipment back to factory setting, which means that you lose all that data. However, if you want to proceed to do that, it's rather simple. Okay. Under instrument, we have to go back to the last setting here called initialize. Okay, are you really sure to initialize? Click OK. Reset instrument successful. Now when we go back to instrument again, go to settings. The first thing we do is to go to options and change it to D65 and click apply. Okay. However, do note that the calibration over here is empty, so we need to click edit. Leave this as default, but this XY values based on the white plate earlier, which I showed you, you have to key in the value for the D65. So in my case, it is 93.7, 0.3170, and 0.3334. So these values would be based on the equipment, based on the white calibration that you have. So now when it says perform calibration, you actually already have to set up the equipment with the calibration plate, just as shown like this. Okay, and then going back to the software, click OK, and it will start performing the calibration. Okay, 3 times. Okay. Once it's done, you will see the display on the screen that says calibration completed, successful, and you click OK. So this step is important when you're changing the illuminance from C to D65. So I believe this guide would allow you to start using the CR-400 or CR-410 quickly. If you have any concerns, please let me know and I will address them. Thank you.